What's up, YouTube? Today's a beautiful day. It's a great day. I'm so glad to be back. I'm back, baby face. So, this last week was crazy. We got like 6, 7, 8 inches of snow. I don't actually even know how much it was. Man, we had snowbanks that were a foot deep, or snow drifts that were a foot deep, and so it was crazy. And yet we lost power. We had power outages. We lost water for a while. And so, anyway, man, that losing all that stuff, I was just like, this has got to go. My face is just driving me crazy. But today, I'm going to make coffee with y'all. I want to show you how I make coffee on a daily basis. I want to share that with you because, man, changing the way that you actually brew your coffee can bring out so many different flavors. And so one of my most favoritist, awesomest ways has been doing a pour over coffee. So today what we're going to do is we're going to look at how I make my coffee. I'm going to make my coffee with you. We're going to change the world one sip at a time, but I'm going to have my sip at the end after I make my coffee with you. So first things first, I want to check out these tools that I use on a daily basis. I want you to see them and I want you to know what I use, but at the same time, guys, like the tools that I use can be changed greatly. And so let's look at these first. Let's get a close-up. What do you say? All right, here they are. These are the tools that I use on a daily basis to make my pour-over coffee. You've got an electric kettle, you've got a pour-over carafe, and you have a coffee grinder. Now, these three things, like I just said, man, there's so many different versions of each one of them. There's different scales of them. You can spend little and you can spend a lot. So I kind of have a middle of the line, run-of-the-mill type of thing going on here. The total combined cost that we're looking at is about $170 today. I bought these a couple years ago. It was a little bit cheaper back then. But the first thing I've got is a 1-liter Bonavita electric digital kettle. We use this guy for so many more things than what we ever did before we had this. I mean, we make tea, we make hot chocolate, we make coffee. We really enjoy having hot water that we can set the temperature on and come back to anytime we want to. This guy's got a couple of features that I really encourage you to look at getting whenever you come into joining the club of pour over coffee. And the main things are a digital temperature reading or something that you can set specifically, a hold setting so that it will hold that temperature. Even you can basically, you want to set it and forget it. And so like those two things are the main things that I would encourage you to look at. And the reason why is because this is the longest part of making pour over coffee. It's going to take you, at least about 7 minutes. And basically, you don't want to just stand here. Everybody knows the saying, a watch pot never boils, and it's no different here. You don't want to start water, leave, or you don't want to start water and just stand here and wait for it. So you want to start this guy, go do something else. Go have a quiet time. Go read the Bible. Go change, get ready for the day, whatever. Go shower. But you can set it, put that hold setting on, and come back to it later. You see right there, it just went under 194 degrees. And then as soon as it got underneath it, it turns on, goes up. This guy's going to just, waver back and forth at right at 194 degrees because that's the temperature that I have it set on. I love having that feature. It's great. The next thing I've got is my pour over carafe. This is a Le Prem brand. I don't think they're in business anymore. Whenever I got this guy, he was a bit cheaper than Chemex. Chemex is your super standard part at this time though. And so a Chemex is going to run you right around 45, 50, 55 bucks, unless if you go bigger or smaller, but essentially you're looking at about 50 bucks. You're looking at 60 bucks for the digital kettle, and then you're also looking at somewhere around 60 bucks for the coffee grinder. And this guy can hold a half a pound of beans, and so essentially he can hold a really good amount, and so it's nice having that. This guy has a setting where you can just turn it on to like the number 4 setting. if you're making coffee, and you can use that as your pour over. Essentially what I found is the number 4 setting is it's gonna grind somewhere around an ounce of beans depending on your grind setting, and so that's really what I like to have it on. An ounce of beans also is about 1/3 of a cup of beans, and so that's also about how much I use whenever I'm making 1 liter of roasted coffee. This guy actually holds less than a liter. It says that it holds like 700 milliliters, but that is the markings on the side right there. So anyway, he actually will hold up to right at about 1 liter, and so that's usually what I make because I like coffee and we're going to go through it. But that's my setup. I encourage you to get something similar. Man, you can spend so much more on a really nice grinder. You can spend so much more on a really expensive kettle, and you can get like a hand-blown carafe, which is way more expensive. And likewise, you can scale these things down. But this is the things I like to use, and so let's get a little bit more in touch. I'll explain a little bit more on how I use these next. All right, now you've seen my tools, and now we're going to make some coffee. What I've done so far is I've already ground my coffee. I use kind of a lighter grind whenever I'm grinding, especially for a pour over, because I've got a paper filter that's going to be able to filter out some of the finer particles. You know, the thing is the lighter your grind, the more flavor you're going to extract out of that specific ground coffee particle. And the reason why is because there's more surface area per coffee, and so the lighter the grind, the more flavor you're going to pull out. The bigger the grind, the less flavor you're going to pull out of that specific coffee because it has less surface area per the volume. And so once again, the way that you make your coffee is going to be directly, or it needs to directly influence what kind of grind that you do, because the last thing you want is to chew your coffee. Chewed coffee is bad, and under extracted coffee is bad. And so one of the good things about a pour over is you can have a finer grind, but you don't want it so fine that it clogs up to where it doesn't really go through. So you can have a finer grind and you can get more flavor per the coffee that you've got, but at the same time, you know, it helps it go a little bit farther. And so I like having a finer grind, not a super fine grind, not an espresso type of thing, but it is a finer grind than what you're going to use in your drip coffee. So anyway, I've got my ground coffee. It's about 1 ounce of ground coffee, and I've got my pour over here. I've got these paper filters. They're awesome. It's just a square. Check this out. Boom. It's just a square that's folded up. These are Chemex coffee filters. I enjoy using those. They've got good quality control. They come in boxes where you can basically just kind of stack up and be ready to go. So anyway, you're going to put him in here, and you're going to face the three side to the pouring spout, and so you're gonna have him in there basically just like that. You're gonna actually put a little bit of water directly into just your open filter. This is gonna help clean that filter of any particles that are in that. So you'll see I've got a wet filter now. There's some water in the bottom of this. You're just gonna pour it straight out. So I poured that guy out in my sink, and now I'm gonna get this coffee in here. You're gonna take your coffee straight out of here. You're gonna put him straight into that filter. All right. So now you've got your coffee into your filter, and I want to kind of show you the next step. I'm going to do my pour over into the filter, and I'm going to do this with you. So check this out. All right, guys, my cut kind of messed up, but look at this. I've got my ground coffee poured in the top of my filter. It's dry right now. And what we're going to do is we're going to take this 194-degree water, and we're just going to pour it right over those grounds. Look at the gas coming out of those. What's happening right now is this is called the bloom. Look at the gas coming up. During the blooming cycle, that hot water is going into that coffee ground, and the coffee grounds are expanding. They're putting off gas, and what's happening is that coffee ground is becoming saturated with water to give off the most amount of flavor.
You're going to look at those coffee grounds during this cycle. This is only going to last for 20 seconds, 30 seconds. And once that bloom stops, the gases will stop putting off. It won't expand anymore. And at that moment, that's when you're going to want to take your water and pour it back over those grounds. Now, this is your ideal moment to get the most amount of flavor out of your coffee. So here we go. The bloom has stopped, and I'm going to pour my water over my coffee grounds. You want to pour in a nice circular motion. You don't really want to pour it on the filter. You want to pour your water directly on your coffee grounds, and you want to pour in a circular motion. That way you get everything wet and everything is getting the same temperature of water. And you can see it changing colors. It's a lighter color where you're pouring your water at in that moment. And so that's how you can know that you're getting a nice equal distribution of water over your coffee grounds. Once you fill up the top, if you've done it more or less right and at a good pace, you'll see that you're about halfway full on your carafe. You see right there, it's right at 400 milliliters. When I've got 400 milliliters of water in the bottom, I like my top to be full. I put my water down and I just let it brew. Now this guy's going to finish up. He's going to brew through, and then I'll be ready to pour me some fresh roasted, fresh ground, fresh brewed coffee.
All right, guys, so the coffee's done. It's made. I have thrown away the filter. Here's my coffee. I've already poured my cup. I'm about to enjoy some. Look at how good that looks, though. You can't see through it. It's not see-through. You don't want see-through coffee. Nobody likes see-through coffee except, well, some people do. Don't make your coffee like that. Get that flavor, man. Get that flavor in there. So I've got my brewed coffee, and now I've got my coffee mug. I'm excited to share this one with y'all today, y'all. This is it. Look at this. Look at this. The Great Smoky Mountain National Park. Dude, this place is gorgeous. It's beautiful. Get out, go hike. We went there for the first time, man, just a little while ago. Loved it. It was fantastic. And so I encourage y'all to get up, get out, go live. And remember, y'all, like, everything you do matters. Everything you do is going to impact the world. Could you imagine if the population of our world were seeking to make an impact just by small decisions? Because if we did, we would absolutely just completely overwhelm everything in the world. Everything would change. Everything would be different. Everything would be better if we were just a little bit more mindful. You know, whenever God created us in Genesis chapter 1, He created us and He said, let us make man in our image. Man. And then after that, He turned around and He gave us a command. And He told us to subdue the earth, to have dominion over the earth and subdue it. Guys, whether if you realize it or not, every action that you do, every action you take, every small thing that you may think is small, every single thing you do is subduing the earth and having dominion over it. You may think it's a small decision, you may think it's a small thing, but it's not. Every single thing you do has an impact. Every single thing. So guys, whenever you're drinking your coffee, whenever you're going out for a walk, whatever you do, guys, do it with intention. Do it with purpose. Change the world one sip at a time. I encourage you. Don't be buying coffee that's actually hurting the world, that's driving and impacting and causing malnutrition, causing sex trafficking, causing drug trafficking. Know what you're doing. Know the choices that you're making. Impact the world. Change the world one sip at a time with me, y'all. I love y'all. Y'all take care. Peace.